this video, we're going to show you how to install pads and rotors on your Toyota Camry located behind your front wheels. Using our 21mm socket, we're going to loosen and remove the lug nuts. Remove the wheel and set it aside. With the wheel removed, we went ahead and cranked the wheel outward. It's going to give us better access to the bolts holding our caliper in place. We're going to use our 14mm socket to loosen and remove the two bolts here on the caliper itself. You can use a ratchet or impact driver. Before we remove this, we're going to use a screwdriver or a similar pry tool. We're going to go into the hole or the window in the caliper itself and get it into the rotor, and we're going to go ahead and pry gently away. And what this is going to do is going to slightly pull the piston inside the caliper. Now, I'm not going to compress this piston completely. We just want to give us enough room so we can go ahead and wiggle this free and slide this off. And we don't want this to hang off of the flex hose here, so we're going to go ahead and use our hanging hook here. And what I'm going to do is hook this onto one of the bolt holes. We can actually flip this over if we want. Flip this up and hang it off of the strut spring on the suspension. Hold it up and out of the way. Now we have our brake pads. We have the inboard pad here and we have an outboard pad. I'm going to go ahead and slide these out. Sometimes they might be stuck. Use your pry tool, pry bar, and gently slide the pads out. Do the same on the outboard pad. Now we want to go ahead and remove our brake caliper bracket here. There are two 17mm bolts here and here. So remove these and set them aside. Now as you remove the upper bolt here, you do want to be careful because you don't want the caliper bracket just to fall off, and as well as the brake rotor. The brake rotor might be a floating unit, so you want to be sure that neither one of these components just falls off of the vehicle when you remove this bolt. Now I want to go ahead and remove our brake rotor. You may experience that the rotor is rusted to the hub itself, so you'll go ahead and use some rust penetrant on here, right around the perimeter here. Let it soak in a little bit. Maybe squirt a little bit inside where these studs are. Let that soak for a little bit. Then we're going to use our mallet and go ahead and knock this off. Yeah. Go ahead and remove that rotor. Set that aside. I want to go ahead and clean the hub face itself. So I'm going to go ahead and spray this down a little bit, and we're going to use our bristle brush to clean it. We do want to make sure that there's no rust ridges around the hub itself. We want to make sure that it's smooth so that when we install our rotor, it doesn't have any high spots on it. If you do have uneven surface, the brake rotor will not sit flush, and you're going to end up with a brake pulsation inside the vehicle once you go down the road. Go ahead and rinse it off using some spray solvent. Go ahead and inspect it, and once you're satisfied with the surface of everything, go ahead and prep it for installation. Now to prep our wheel hub face here, we're going to spray it with some anti-seize compound. Now when you get your brake rotor, it's going to be inside of a plastic bag and it's going to be coated in an oil. You want to go ahead and use some spray solvent, spray the whole thing down on the front as well as the back, wipe it down, make sure that there's no oil on it itself. Set it up on the hub and drop it into place. Now we do like to go ahead and throw a lug nut on here. This will not only keep the rotor from falling off, but it'll hold it in place while we go ahead and prepare our brake caliper bracket. Let's go ahead and start our caliper bracket rebuild. Now we do have 2 slide pins on this here. We need to go ahead and remove these. Now normally you can go ahead and twist these slide pins themselves, and ours are in okay condition, but you want to pull them out. Now there's a rubber boot here. I'm going to use my pocket screwdriver here and gently remove the rubber boot here, twist and slide. Now this here has a rubber dampener on the inside, so pay attention to that. We're going to do the same over here. I'm going to pop this boot off here. Twist and pull. Now this side does not have the damper on it, so what I'm going to do is I like to go ahead and take a crayon and mark the caliper where this pin is going to go. So I'm just going to put a yellow mark on here. That's an identifier for that damper. Now I want to go ahead and remove the boot themselves. So I'm going to peel this out and just gently twist and work this out. Try not to damage these here, but you see, just peel it out. Now you want to inspect these boots. So pinch and pull and rotate, and you're looking for any splits or tears, anything that shows that this boot is defective. If it is crumbling apart or has a tear in it, you do need to replace these. So do this for both sides. Our boots are in good condition. So flip this up. Next thing we want to do is remove the slides here. Flip it over, do the same over here. Let's start our cleaning process. I'm going to go ahead and grab my bristle brush here. I want to go ahead and clean where the slides go. I want to make sure there's no rust built up inside here. Now if you do find that you do have some rust on the inside, you can use a flat file and go inside, and we're simply just going to clean out any rust that's in there. You don't want to take away any metal. And then spray it down with some solvent, make sure it's nice and clean. Continue this process until you feel satisfied that the surface is clean and free of any debris. Repeat for the other side. Now that we're done with our slide areas here, we're going to flip this over and we want to go ahead and focus on where our slide pins go. Now what I'm going to do is make sure you're wearing safety glasses when you do this here. I like to spray some spray solvent inside the port. Then I'm going to use a bore brush on my drill and simply go in and out to clean out any of the old grease and debris that's in there. Flush it out. Continue to do this until the solvent comes out clear, and then repeat for the other side. Now go ahead and grab a shop rag and want to grab our slide pins and clean these up. You're looking for any rust or any debris that's on this here. If it is rusty, run it through a wire wheel machine. Be careful of the damper on there. You don't want to damage that, but clean it up the best you can. If you can't get the rust off and it's super chunky, you need to replace the slide pins as well. Ours are super clean. Do the same for the other one here. And once you're done with this, we can go ahead and prep with our grease to reinstall. Now let's go ahead and install our boots here. Work those in. Make sure that that is fully seated. Do the same on the other end. Now once you're satisfied with the boot placement, we now want to go ahead and grab some grease here. Now, we don't want to glob all kinds of grease inside here, because what's going to happen is it'll actually hydrolock it, where you push the pin in and it'll start to push it back out. You want a thin coat. Smear it around with your glove. Make sure you get it all the way around onto that damper boot there. Now you can take a little bit, put it inside. Not a lot. Then go ahead and take that pin and slide that in and push it in. Now push it until that boot pops onto it, just like so. Rotate that around, and that's perfect. We're now going to repeat this process for the other side. Now that we have our 2 slide pins in, I'm going to flip this up. I'm going to take a little bit of that grease, and we're going to put some in here where the slides are going to go. Now we just want a thin coat. Once again, don't put chunks of it on there. Thin coat, smear it with the glove, wipe off the excess. Now this is where we install these components right here. Line these up and push it on. Now this design here, it's going to be a tab on the inboard and a tab on the outboard. I like to install it so that the inboard tab catches, and then just roll your finger out and snap it into place. Make sure it's fully seated onto the bracket itself, and make sure that your spring tabs are facing inboard, or they're on the inboard portion. I'm going to flip it and do the same on this side. All right, we have all 4 slides on and our slider pins taken care of. Let's go ahead and install our caliper bracket. Go ahead and get our bracket lined up here. And then go ahead and get that lower one started. And then once these are both in, we'll snug them down, and then we'll torque them down. Let's go ahead and torque these down to 79 foot-pounds. Now, installing the brake pads themselves, you want to go ahead and install the squeak tabs here. You want to make sure that the loop here is facing the back. Line this up on this tab. Press this down and on, like so. And this is going to go on the inboard portion. Install the pad into the slides. Now we're going to repeat the same process for the outboard pad here. Position it as if it was to go on. Install the squeak tab. Install on the outside. Before we install this, we want to go ahead and compress our piston in completely. I'm going to install a brake pad here. And push that piston in all the way. It should be flush. And what we're looking to do is push our piston all the way in. Inspect the rubber boot here on the cup. Ours is in good shape. Go ahead and set this up on the top. Now I'm going to go ahead and install our anti-rattle springs here. Now these were not on the vehicle when we got it, but they do come with the new brake pad set. Now these are actually positioned on the brake pads themselves. There's going to be holes on the brake pad here and here, and then on the top here and here. Now when we install these here, it's going to naturally want to push the pads away. So when installing these, we do have to put those in and then hold the brake pads. You see how that's set in there? Do the same for the upper. There we go. So the 2 points are facing each other. Now let's grab our caliper. I'm going to bring this down and slide this over. You might have to push in on the pin itself, the slide pin, to get that caliper to line up. I like to go ahead and get the upper bolt started first. Just a couple threads. Then you can let go and get that bottom one lined up. Just slide the bracket around or the caliper just so that lines up. Thread that on. Now these get torqued down to 25 foot-pounds. So I'm not going to put a power tool on that. We're just going to switch right over to the torque wrench and get that snug down. Do the same for the upper here. Now you want to go ahead and repeat this process for the passenger side. Before you install your wheels, straighten out the steering wheel, hop into the vehicle, pump up the brake pedal. It's going to be mushy. It's probably going to go to the floor 2 to 3 times before it starts to firm up. Don't forget, straighten out your wheel, remove that lug nut off of the brake rotor. Then you can go ahead and install your wheels and go for a road test. Install the wheel. Let's go ahead and get all of our lug nuts started. Once we have them all started, we'll come on back and snug them down. Let's go ahead and snug them down. Do not over tighten. Let's now go ahead and torque down our lug nuts to 76 foot-pounds. I prefer to do this in a crisscross pattern. And you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.